A return to Lordaeron. World of Warcraft's return to Lordaeron. You guys know how I feel about Lordaeron lore. I fucking love it. I can't get enough of it. If it has to do with Lordaeron, give it to me. Give it to me. And evidently, we're going to be getting a lot of it coming up here. At least that's what Bellular is saying. Let's see why this video is titled the way it is. A return to Lordaeron.
War is rife in Lordaeron. The Banshee Queen is gone, but the Forsaken aren't out of the fire
me the
yet.
meat,
Gan is about to launch his campaign
What
to
is up, Baby
retake
J?
Gilneas, to restore his people, disgorging thousands of Alliance troops in Hillsbrad. Silverpine has been overrun with the now feral Ivar Bloodfang and his pact. The Plaguelands are mostly healed, yet there are still Scourge warlords operating out of Stratholme and Scholomance, but there are worse things out there for the Forsaken. Paladins, whole orders of them. The Silver Hand are on the edge of re-establishing humanity in the north, but a specter of...
That's what the Silver Hand has been up to? I was wondering that, actually, because we got, you know, when we watched the whole remake of, oh my god, the Judgment set, I started thinking about Paladins, and I was like, where's the Silver Hand right now? What are they doing? They're reestablishing humanity in the north, I guess.
The past sails back to Lordaeron from the frozen north. The Scarlet Onslaught are coming. More and more land is lost to humanity until the flickering light of the Forsaken is all but extinguished. That is when one of Azeroth's heaviest hitters marches south in perfect crimson columns, the Blood Elves.
Beautiful.
Long isolated, are now the leading power in the north, and they're not just going to let the Alliance dominate. That is the most old Warcraft-feeling version of what could actually happen. But the point does stand.
Oh, that would be
Lordaeron
cool.
has so much more.
So he just made all that up? Damn, I got all excited.
Than almost anyone realizes. And this is not just pure speculation. While those zones may be relatively untouched since the Cataclysm, the lore has in fact moved on. And so too am I. On to today's sponsor. HelloFresh.com, where code Bellular50 gets you 50% off
Fresh it
plus
up.
free shipping. They are easily one of the easiest ways to just improve your life, and in just a few clicks. In no time,
Improve
you'll
your
be eating
life
healthy food,
and feed your
you'll be
wife.
learning how to cook,
There you
and
go.
tasting fun new meals. And with the time and mental energy you save, I mean, it's just
actually
the
looks pretty
ultimate no-brainer. With over 40 recipes to choose from a week, and this week I went for a delicious, very Moorish veg and pesto pasta dish. It is just the best way to enjoy your food more. And of course, all while you're able to track your macros and choose between calorie and protein smart meals and some new delicious vegan options.
Wonderful.
And even when time is a problem, their fast and fresh recipes are ready in just 15 to 20 minutes. They cost 25% less.
Cutting a sweet potato is like going to fucking war. Or also known as a yam, by the way. I didn't even know that until I was grocery shopping not too long ago, and I realized sweet potatoes and yams are the same thing. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that until I was 33 years old. But anyways, cutting these things, well, is fucking difficult. Try cutting a sweet potato. Near impossible.
Less than a takeout
a
per
sharp
their
blade.
numbers, but honestly, Belfast
Yes, they
prices,
are.
if they're anything to go by, it is a lot more than 25% cheaper. So personally, I love the variety, I love the
Different
ease,
regions.
I love the speed.
They taste the same, okay? That's all I know. That's all I know, yeah.
And being able to track
And they look
macros
the
and
same.
stuff, super handy. And they've clearly nailed all this. I mean, you get ingredients farm to door in like 7 days, delicious
What's up, Game
chef-crafted
Shade?
recipes, and if you factor in the amount of time and mental energy you save, I mean, it really is the ultimate no-brainer. And with over 40 meals to choose each week, and even some nice summer picks like their backyard bratwurst bar or the tangy key lime pie, it is...
Right here, okay. Want to question me? I googled, what is a yam? A sweet potato. There you go. There you go. The term yam is often used in America to describe the sweeter orange sweet potato. Right here. I just read it right here, okay? It's the same fucking shit. Yeah, Bing, whatever. I just fucking put it in there. I don't give a shit.
the best
Same
way
thing.
to just enjoy your food.
I had no
more.
idea.
So, HelloFresh.com.
My wife sent me to get a sweet potato. This what happened a couple months ago, and I couldn't find one. And then I asked the guy, and he was like, "They're right here." I was like, "These are yams. What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, yams are sweet potatoes." It's like, oh shit. I didn't know that.
Code Bellular50. You'll get 50%
Sam,
off
Yam.
and free shipping. It's an absolutely cracked deal.
There you go.
Check them out. Even if we haven't seen it in-game, the story of the old world has been ticking along since the Cataclysm. From novels, shorts, tidbits through the expansions and the Exploring Azeroth books, we know the modern story. Now we just need to see it in-game, which feels closer and closer as time goes on. With all that in mind, then, let's...
With the Forsaken and everything that's been going on with them, they're going to get their Heritage Armor, too, in 10.1.7. We're going to see some Lordaeron updates, I guarantee it.
Figure out what's going on
Mythic Raid today? Yes,
Orgrimmar
Dixie.
or Hyjal or anywhere else
back
home. And after bringing all that lore together, there's no doubt that Lordaeron is the place with the coolest modern lore. It's the cradle of humanity. It is ground zero for the Second and Third War. Arthas, Tyrion, the Ebon Blade, Silver Hand, Argent, Scarlets, all those...
Argent, Scarlet. I love this shit, man. Give me Scarlet Monastery. Give me more Scarlet Monastery. Look at this shit. Look at this design. This fucking dungeon was made back in 2004. Look at how beautiful it is, man. They don't make shit like this anymore. This is a dungeon. Look at this. Gorgeous. Are bell peppers and capsicum the same? What the hell is that? Vegetable cum? I don't even know what that is. I don't know. Taro is a root, something different as well. I don't even know what the fuck is going on. Why has this become a yam debate? AOTC has
huge names and groups from the core of Warcraft. But this is the thing. We already know what gameplay could look and feel like. Think about renowned reputations for the Cenarian Circle and the Argents as you cleanse Plague and go through their own storylines at endgame. Think about Araj the Summoner, the Lich world boss who was trying to reclaim Anderhall. Yes, I'm not just pulling that out of my ass, it exists. Think about the minor factions like the Apothecary Society and what madness they could be up to today, or perhaps even a fringe, a splinter.
Could we disinfect this?
We know the story.
Imagine we disinfected the sewers here. And all this shit, you can't even swim in it. It does damage. It'd be great. Disinfect it.
A splinter group of them. We know the story that's been set up. We know the gameplay. So let's dig into the playable faction that is the most on the ropes, that has a long way to go, and that is the Forsaken.
That's right, the Forsaken. The Dark Council. Yeah, we haven't heard from them in a long
10.1 data
time
mining
now.
found a new Forsaken tab art. It really says everything it needs to. No longer the broken Banshee mask. It is a skull with 5 points behind it, likely representing the 5
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Desolate Council, 5 members. That makes sense. Didn't even realize
members of the Desolate Council.
Yeah.
There's Kalia, who kind of has a hereditary right to Lordaeron. Lillian Voss, who we followed from mentally broken to a leading Forsaken. Apothecary Farnell, Dark Ranger Valiona, who are both quite close to Sylvanas at the height of her power, and Deathstalker Belmont, who does not trust Kalia. Which shows that they're not all on exactly the same page. They all want a strong Forsaken people, but they are undoubtedly their own characters, not a homogeneous blob of politics. Now combine the gameplay in Dragonflight with the lore that we know, and it becomes clear what an initial campaign would look like. A new Forsaken steps into a dark kingdom falling apart. Scarlets are in Tirisfal, sabotaging where they can. Worgen are pushing in from Silverpine. And you are caught between 5 counselors with different aims. Like the pool of mixed monstrosities or the community feast, we help Farnell concoct new ways to clear the plague. We would hunt down the scourge with Belmont.
Yeah, essentially Kalia. Kalia is a Lightforged undead. That's what she is. So yeah, I mean, get more tunes that look like Kalia. That's what they would look like basically a pale human with white eyes. It'd be badass. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get something like that. It's certainly in the lore now. We know it's possible. Would be cool. I don't know.
We would hunt down the scourge with Belmont and rebuild a new homeland with Kalia. By the end of the Tirisfal campaign, the Forsaken are back on their feet. But Silverpine is still overran by the Bloodfang Pact, and even worse, every advancement Sylvanas had made into the Plaguelands has now been pushed back to the Bulwark. That's when Forsaken players will have to step out into a dangerous world that rightly fears them. And without their Banshee Queen, they have to completely reinvent themselves. When we look at the Winterpelt tribe reputation, digging into learning a new language, or getting into the culture and the history of the Muruk Centaur, this is the kind of task that modern Blizzard are actually very much up to. But before we get into the mayhem of the Plaguelands, we have got to look at their top enemies, the Scarlets, and how they may even end up as either Alliance assets or even someone that we may all have to fight.
Not all for
The Scarlets were in a funny spot. Lillian Voss led a campaign of eradication that was later finished by the Knights of the Ebon Blade when they took Whitemane. So, the Scarlets are totally gone, right? No, the answer is no.
Hell
and
no.
I'm not even talking about the collection of propaganda pamphlets that we saw from the Scarlet Brotherhood in and around the period of Battle for Azeroth. I'll get to those in a second. But first, in exploring Azeroth Northrend, a book the contents of which most of you will likely have not came across, the Bronzebeards discovered the new Hearthglen is still full of Crusaders. The Scarlet Onslaught. They are the old school radical paladin Scarlets that we know. But the big surprise was that many of them were active in the harbour, as if they were planning to come home. They are looming in the horizon, and then as we look closer to home...
Scarlet Monastery Mythic Plus. Bring it. Bring it. I fucking love that place. Bring it. Blades of Light.
We have the Scarlet Brotherhood. They've barely been in the game at all.
Bring the old Whitemane back. Yes.
Their pamphlets. They are some sort of radical group. They are in the shadows, but
we love that old Whitemane
forever, especially as their perhaps long-lost paladin allies are considering returning from the north. Now, they claim to have a true Menethil heir in hiding. We saw these in pamphlets that Blizzard basically hid as a bit of a secret in a Battle for Azeroth patch. So we know that they claim to have a Menethil heir. That means somebody who is more worthy to the throne of Lordaeron than Kali and Menethil. And that means they have pretensions of restoring...
Who could be another Menethil more right for the throne than the sister of Arthas? The hell? I can't imagine.
The human kingdom of Lordaeron.
Unless it's like Arthas' uncle or something, right? Because maybe when it's, well, no, because when it's succession still, well, I don't know. Maybe they don't like women. Because Arthas killed his father, which led to the succession of Arthas being the king of Lordaeron. You know, usually succession of kingdoms went from father to son. Now, and maybe they thought that it was an improper rise to power because he executed his father, that the kingdom should have then went to the brother of the king instead of the son of the king. Maybe. Not even reading it, I'm out. What? Wow, so rude, ignoring my... What? Howdy. Charbs. What's up? Charbs, anytime Scarlet Monastery is involved in a video, I'm going to be jerking off and not reading chat. Yeah, maybe. That's the succession plan that they're talking about. Anduin wandered around the Shadowlands, maybe brought someone back. That would be bullshit. But his wandering is definitely a literal device for something. Yeah, and it also makes him look like a bitch. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we all went to the Shadowlands. We all experienced things. Yes, he had some mind control shit going on too, so he's got some things to deal with. But he's a king. And a king should lead. Not take a fucking vacation with Sylvanas, you know, butt fucking in the sex dungeon that is the Maw. But here we are. Here we are.
With their champion as king. But what was huge was that even during Battle for Azeroth, they preferred Gan Greymane over the likes of Anduin. Because even though they did not like that he was a Worgen, they did think he was a bit of an abomination for that, he did think that, well, what does Gan want to do? Gan likes war. Gan's going to take out the Banshee Queen for what she did to his son. So they were quite pro-Gan. And I would then make you think, remember that Anduin Wrynn just abdicated the throne. He just left without telling anybody.
Puss-ass
Is he
move.
really going to be fit for leadership? Maybe the sorts of things that they tried to do that would have been rebuffed by the rally around the flag effect
Oh, no,
that
Charbs.
the Alliance would have no doubt experienced.
Well, enjoy
in
your
the
trip,
FA.
man.
Perhaps, though, now, where the king has not indeed returned,
Thank you
the
for calling
Scarlet
the stream
Brotherhood's
lovely.
message may actually stick with the people. Now, the faction war is not on. We are not going to have a major Horde
No
versus
more faction.
Alliance big
Can't.
fight expansion. That's just not
That's done. Cross faction is here to stay. Don't you worry.
realistic.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about reclaiming Gilneas later, but without a way for the Alliance to directly strike against the Forsaken, at least overtly, one has to wonder how things could pan out. And I think some sort of
We all know, by the way, that the Alliance could take the Forsaken. They could take the Undercity. It happened before. You don't remember Varian? We literally stormed the Undercity, took that shit, and the only reason why we didn't retake Lordaeron that day is because we got ported out by fucking Jaina being a puss-ass bitch. Otherwise, Lordaeron would already be part of the Alliance again. So the Alliance is certainly capable of retaking Lordaeron. We are just electing not to at this moment.
idea of the Alliance
World of
pursuing
Peacecraft, yeah.
somewhat more of a
Yeah. The Varian invasion of the Undercity was back when World of Warcraft was still about sweaty men. Sweaty men and big dick weapons. Good old days.
containment strategy that could be useful.
their
Maybe
dead into
hooking
Forsaken,
up
maybe.
with some existing Scarlets who are
What's
a bit
up,
less
boy?
radical. Maybe hooking up with some Silver Hand who are a little bit suspicious of where things could go. I mean, hey, there could be a cool renown track in that. But
That could be
imagine
cool.
that story is burning along, and then just when we thought things could work out, maybe we could work together with this Brotherhood, de-radicalize them, and perhaps work them towards our
Understandable.
political goals. Oh no, the Scarlet Onslaught reappears from Northrend. They're absolutely insane after 2 decades of fighting in the snow against
yeah.
zombies and ghouls and all forms of horrors. So whatever peace could have been forged is now absolutely blown
Essentially, you get a factioning of the Scarlet Crusade, where you get the Scarlet Onslaught, which are the radicals, and then the regular boys who are trying to now rejoin the Alliance. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be a very cool storyline.
out of the water. A situation where now the remaining humans of that area of the Plaguelands have got to decide. These new Scarlets who are
Not a fan of
packing
Sylvanas.
and certainly are going
also
to
Thrall's
fight
been a bitch,
more
too.
overtly to get us land and rights, or these more goody two-shoes Silver Hands who now are, yes, members of the Alliance, but perhaps are not going to go as far in our needs. You can see the obvious intrigue
What a
there
badass
and how that
statue.
could make the Plaguelands one of the most important regions in Warcraft's history even more interesting and relevant to players in the modern day. So now that we've set up some of the factions that are vying for dominance, let's all go deep down into the east and west
Go deep.
Plaguelands.
Yes. Cradle of Humanity.
Something mysterious is going on in Scholomance. There are new achievements in patch 10.1.5 that refer to NPCs from the dungeon that were removed in the Mists of Pandaria rework.
Yeah.
They are Eva, Sarkov, and Kirtonos. They were involved in one of WoW's darkest stories, that of the butcher Theolan Krastanov, who kept
Yeah.
his victims animated beyond death in order to
This was back when WoW had a dark side. Before we played Dragon Tales, friendly hold your hands and make out expansions, things like that. Before the Dragon Tales expansions, and everybody be buddies. Yeah, there was a very dark side to World of Warcraft, almost Diablo dark. I mean, this guy literally used to animate corpses. He would torture people and then reanimate their corpse so he could continue to torture them. This guy was fucked up. Fucked up shit.
continually torture them.
Yeah.
That's a serious sign that new content is
Imagine
coming
dying,
up that's in-game.
only to have necromancy magic used to keep you alive so you could continue to die.
Even beyond that, from the
Fucked.
Exploring Eastern Kingdoms book and the
good old
wider
days,
narrative,
yeah,
we
before
do know
Shadow
that Matthias Shaw has heard rumors of necromancy still swirling around at Cursed School. And I think perhaps then you can guarantee that there are necromancers down there based on those rumors that Shaw heard. But they're not the only ones.
Maybe we get a
Stratholme
necromancer
still
class out of
burns.
a
It is still
quest line
full
like
of
this.
Scourge. Surely a warlord has risen to take command, or a death lord is still lurking about. Maybe even a clutch way to make the Nathrezim story of the Shadowlands relevant. For if there was one thing that was going to come out of the Shadowlands, it would be...
Oh my god, I forgot the Nathrezim are still fucking around, too. Those guys, man. Those Dreadlords and shit. Oh my god. Those guys are the ultimate fuckers. Those guys have been just, dicking around, disguising themselves. There's going to be a storyline to be played out with them. Don't forget, they're the ones who tricked Arthas and all that shit, so... not tricked well, they tricked Arthas, and it turns out what's his name? Oh my god. Sargeras was tricked by them as well. So they're playing a big role. We got a lot of them in Shadowlands with Castle Nathri and everything, and then they kind of dipped off since then.
The Nathrezim and Denathrius
Fourth Death Knight
still
spec?
playing a role in the canon.
Maybe that's what
forward.
necromancers become.
But the bottom line is that
Death
there
Knight
are
spec?
Scourge out there. They are not under the helm of domination anymore. They are now fractured into individual warlords who will vie for personal power.
Maybe
which I think
Thunder.
is fantastic storytelling potential. At least enough to fill endless world content or a few dungeons. And who's going to...
Healer necromancer spec is an interesting thought. That'd be pretty crazy because you're using like undeath essentially to stop people from dying. That'd be pretty wild.
Who give us all those quests?
Plus B-resing would be
answer
pretty
is
easy
simple.
with that.
The Silver Hand.
And the lore.
They reformed in Legion as a super group of paladins from the
One of the
Blood
coolest
Knights
order
to
halls,
the
I have to
Argents
admit.
to the Vindicators. However,
paladins.
since Legion, they unsuccessfully assaulted Stratholme several times. So clearly it's going to be up to us to
This
solve
city
that
must be
problem when
purged.
we go back. Moreover, the Silver Hand did rejoin the Alliance when it came to battle for Azeroth. So currently they are positioned as being an Alliance faction.
Necromancer,
Though
a
maybe
cloth
some
tank?
old
Damn.
alliances
That'd be an
could
interesting
be
one.
rekindled, and we could experience them in a cross-faction manner, as of
Wall
course
of
we
the
have
Dead.
in the game's past. Now, I've said this before, but I get really excited by the idea.
I always wondered if we are going to get like Tinker tanks. You guys remember like the whole Tinker armor set and everything that we saw back in like Legion cinematics and shit with Mechatork, right? And we even fought against what's his name in the fucking oh my god, in BFA. Gmod. Gmod is essentially the same thing. I thought we'd get a Tinker tanking class at some point, but we haven't yet. Uses pets as tanks? Maybe. For a Necromancer class? That's possible. I don't know. There's so many possibilities out there, but we haven't got anything like that. It's been a while.
Like repeatable
And
scenarios.
Evokers really haven't filled any gap. They gave us augmentation, but that was something we weren't even asking for, a buff class. But yeah, adding a tanking capable class. Yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten one.
In Stratholme. You think about the Niffin Digs, the Scara Vault, all the sorts of
We
things
got
that we've
dragons,
been
yeah.
experimenting with. Now imagine we're delving into Stratholme. I know that every game is trying to be an extraction shooter now,
think
but to be
Spiel-
honest, some sort of extraction-based gameplay, delving
die, you
into
stay
the
alive for a few
complete
seconds, do
ruins
that.
and whatever
That'd be
mad
cool. Yeah, that'd
horror
be
has
cool.
taken up or taken root within Stratholme, that would be actually a pretty crazy fun type of content, and at the bare minimum, it would make for a dope raid. Perhaps
yeah, it
over
would be
the
a
course
badass
of a
raid.
patch, we would free Stratholme again, making it a new
Let's
content
raid
hub.
Stratholme. That'd
This
be
is the
amazing.
land that no one really has a claim to, but right now it's definitely humanity who are doing the hardest work to reclaim what was actually once theirs. All those gains will be locked in if Gan Greymane
Big
ever
gains.
manages to lead the Alliance on Lordaeron. Perhaps because he wants to reform his own kingdom
Yeah, Joe,
again.
I agree.
And this is not something that I'd be surprised to see. Relatively recently, we got a nod
Support
from Steve
Necromancer
User that
at ESO. That sounds interesting. You can raise 5 teammates and latch on a corpse. Damn, remain life energy to heal. That's pretty cool.
Gan reclaiming Gilneas is something that we would see in-game, that would not be relegated to books or
Good. I want
webcomic.
to see that in game.
And to me, that means content. And it also tells us it will be one of those stories that could potentially drive the game onwards and forwards whenever we get back to the old world. By now in today's video, you know the stakes in Lordaeron. You know Sylvanas is gone, that the
Right.
power vacuum that she has left can be filled with a lot of factions. it is a perfect time for Gen, and by extension the Alliance, to march through that chaos and reclaim what was once theirs. And need I
Gilneas
even
is a
bring
very
up
cool
that
looking city.
this is where Turalyon
Unused
is
asset.
from. It's where he grew up. Now, at times, Turalyon was seeming to be a little bit more of a hawk, and he certainly was surprisingly okay with torture in one of the books. I think, though, we need to look to the more recent portrayals of Turalyon to get a feel for what Blizzard would do with him. And I think it is that Turalyon is a good man, a noble man, an honorable man. He does not want to lead crazy crusades and cause a lot of death and misery. He does not want to do that. And when you look at Dragonflight, his dialogue near the start pretty much says, these dragons, they're good. We should help them out. But also, we've lost a lot at the hand of dragons before. We must be careful. And I think more than anything, that
I mean, we've lost things to dragons. What about what we've done to dragons? Every time we found a dragon in game, almost we've essentially killed it for loot. I can't imagine dragons being too fond of us either.
Encapsulate how Turalyon will deal with things going forward. Unlike Anduin, who could perhaps be an idealist,
break
to a
those
fault,
eggs.
where
Yeah,
he
if you know
wouldn't
what
do the
Death
brave
Knights have done to
thing
dragon
soon,
eggs, oh shit.
and maybe would cause more chaos and strife down the line from some form of inaction. I think Turalyon is a bit more willing to act, and perhaps, well, a bit more grown up in his own way. And I do think that means that he can lead us into a form of pragmatic strife that does not necessarily mean turning his character into a one-note warhawk, which would be pretty boring. Exploring Azeroth, going back to it, confirmed that Hillsbrad is back in Alliance hands at the present day, showing us where the landing would likely be. And I suppose from there it would mirror Sylvanas' Cataclysm march through Silverpine, perhaps getting into strife with Forsaken,
rightfully so, they
maybe
do hate
having
DKs.
to deal with, maybe bargaining perhaps, with the Worgen. Who knows what could happen, but undoubtedly it is a powder keg. A lot of people want something for themselves in that region. Of course, this would also be about the reclamation of Gilneas. This is not something that will be stuck in time. As the campaign progresses, we will get closer and closer to retaking that capital, at least until that kingdom is restored. Why else would Denuzer say that? And with that kingdom restored, perhaps we have border scuffles. Who exactly knows? But of course, it's not like the Horde.
Gilneas, in terms of like layout, is absolutely massive. It's very cool. And if you've made a Worgen, you've gone through the city a little bit. Now it's a chaotic city if you've done the Worgen questline and stuff. But it's a very cool unused asset. You know, there's nothing you can do in Gilneas right now, but I would love to see it actually used.
Something up their sleeve.
Kind of like Silvermoon. Well, Silvermoon, at least you can go in there.
We may be raiding with each other, but faction conflict, spirited discussions are inevitable. Probably never going to be an all-consuming world war like we saw in the past, but it's not like the
maybe in WoW 2 there will be, but yeah, not anymore in this game.
Horde are just going to let the Alliance walk into Lordaeron for free, especially if they're going to do underhanded tactics, right? Especially if the Alliance signal that they don't fully trust the Horde's new council, who are, well, maybe the Horde's actual new council, or the Desolate Council, who of course are leading the Forsaken. And again, the Horde, it's led by a council, just like the Forsaken are. Councils are not always on the same page. They'll probably be slow to respond. But of course, its most powerful member.
I really miss Wintergrass. What a great world event that. I mean, lag and everything else aside, I don't give a shit. Just seeing that many people in a zone fighting was amazing.
Besides the orcs, is the Blood Elves. Silvermoon, once again, can be the jewel of the North. It's recently made what amounts to a political alliance with Suramar after the leaders of both states got married. That is two states, Suramar and Kel'Thuzad, with some of the most powerful casters in the game's canon working together. So while I can't see Silvermoon settling into Lordaeron or trying to invade it for their own, I can see them acting as a powerful guarantor to the Forsaken. Lorthamar is one of the most powerful political leaders in Lordaeron. In terms of having raw access to power, he may actually be the most powerful. It's not like his people have had to go through just as much trauma as those of the Undercity.
Yeah, I definitely think in terms of like races of the Horde, I think the Blood Elves are the strongest right now. They're in the best place they've been. They have a strong leader. And, you know, they were originally a very powerful race. And they went through their times. And now the Blood Elves, I feel like they've repopulated. They're in a good spot. I think they're the strongest of all the Horde races right now.
Of the most powerful political leaders in Lordaeron. In terms of having raw access to power, he may actually be the most powerful. It's not like his people have had to go.
I don't know. I still feel like the orcs are in a weird place. I think they're in a weird place with their leadership and everything. That's racist, Sam. I'm just telling you, by race, I'm just saying they're the most powerful. Jeez. I'm not talking shit about the other ones.
Through just as much trauma as those of the Undercity.
Maybe we'll get more Thrall shit
So
going on in the
he will
next
have to
expansion,
lead
and I'll feel
very
better about
carefully.
orcs. I don't know.
And thankfully, I think the players broadly love that character. I mean, his new voicing, like, yeah,
He's
pretty
awesome.
dope. So
Yeah, he's
more
awesome.
of him, that would be really good.
Lesser spotted Lordaeron.
Even though this video's went on for quite a bit, there is plenty of Lordaeron that we haven't quite heard about. What's happening in the hinterlands? The Forest Trolls, they joined the Horde, they
Forest
fought against
Trolls.
the Wildhammers, but what's going on there? What of Emperor Dagran Thessarian, right? The second, and his united Dwarven Empire. What are they going
That's
to do?
right, the Dark Iron Dwarves. The Dark Iron Dwarves are pretty badass looking, I'm not going to lie. Sylvanas is currently just wandering around the maw, freeing Night Elf souls that she had sent there when she burned the World Tree. So she's freeing them from their eternals, you know, jailer or jailing in the maw. That's what she's doing. She's trying to redeem herself.
What's
She's
her
alive.
like
She's
after
just
the
wandering
Fourth
around
War?
the Maw, freeing
There's
Night Elf
so
souls.
much fun scope beyond what has been directly set up by the post-cataclysm
Yeah, Dark
lore that
Iron
we've
Dwarves are cool.
continually been drip-fed from then to now. But I think what you can see today is that Lordaeron has really developed as one amazing bounded storyline that Blizzard can soon deploy.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you've probably seen our talking about a revamp, how at least some sort of partial, you know, patch-by-patch revamp, that's the only way it probably could realistically happen. And I think as
First
times
race
went on,
unlocked.
though, with videos
They're all
like
unlocked
this,
now. You just got to do intro
I've
quest
been able
lines.
to communicate to you that
Or they're
they
gonna
actually do have the sorts of content that would make it work, and they have the narrative set up to actually make it work. It's fascinating. I mean, a Forsaken who are bit in the ropes, humanity trying to reclaim some of their old stomping ground, right?
Yeah.
With the Plague Lands. You've got Gilneas. There's plenty of Scourge knocking about, and even just that exploring Azeroth Northrend kind of drop that we could have Scarlet Crusaders returning from Northrend.
I love that thought.
That is just amazing potential for things
It's
that
really cool old world lore. That's what I would say about it.
happen. And I really want them to.
Which I want to go
Lordaeron
revisit.
is where the Warcraft franchise happened. It's where it matured. Yes, the first war was, of course, for Stormwind. That is where this IP started. But Warcraft 2, expanding it so much, was from Lordaeron. The events in Warcraft 3 started off in Lordaeron.
True.
The game's most notable villain is a fallen prince of Lordaeron.
Yep.
Sylvanas
Yeah.
even deeply tied to Lordaeron. She is one of the game's
that's a
biggest, like
hideous
notable,
Sylvanas.
like brand name almost characters that people are just going to see her and be like, oh yeah, she's that character from World of Warcraft. They might not know anything about her, but they recognize her. So
Yeah, true.
if you want to get Warcraft back again, you take it back
Her
to where the
push-up brother.
franchise exploded. You do a good job. And as I've shown you today, it's bloody well possible. That is it. You can check out this video next, learn how some of this could actually happen. It will
loved it.
appear
Great
in
video.
place of my face momentarily. And with that, I'll see you next time.
Great video. Yeah, I would love to revisit some of that like classic WoW lore. Things like Scarlet Monastery, Lordaeron, those are like, you know, classic. Which I love, and we haven't revisited in quite a while. Love to see that.